I think the tone was set actually. Obviously Suarez, who incredible play for Liverpool, the fans loved him, standing over the kick-off and getting booed and whistled. And I think it was just a reminder, not today, mate. You're not one of us today. And
that's the bit I actually remember from the game, was Mario receiving it, passing it to Sergio, and then Sergio doing exactly what he was born to do in this exact position he was born to do it.
I'm now going to whack this ball with everything I've got. Now I'm thinking all this, and if it goes beyond the goal, into the crowd, into the sand, by the time the ball boy gets it back to Tilkowski, surely the goodness the game has got to be over. But as you all know, I mishit it and it flew in.
I mean, when you've got a skill named after you in world football, and you've got a little kid on the, on a 10-year, I watch my grandson now on the Saturdays, or go training on a Thursday, and you hear the coaches say, "Oh, you could have Cruyffed him," and he's only 7, and they know the Cruyff skill. So to have a skill named after you, you've got to be special, haven't you, to have that? He was a wonderful player.
I'd probably have to say this scoreline twice. Liverpool 4, Barcelona 0. Liverpool 4, Barcelona 0. That has to be the greatest night ever at Anfield, wasn't it? You're 3-0 down from the first leg.
Yeah, it stands out for sure as the best for me. I think just the backstory around it. Obviously, I mean, the first leg we didn't play badly, and Messi scores an incredible free kick, and they get the goals. They had a breakaway chance late in that game as well, and if they score that as well, then is it out of reach? But then the build up to the next game, and we needed City to drop points the night before, and Vinny goes and seen him do it 100 times in training, slice it into the bushes, and he decides to slice it into the top corner this time. And we came in the day of the game, and the manager said, "Does anyone want to say anything about what happened last night?" No, right, here we go. And again, like you say, push in. We'd had a big game on the Saturday, trying to stay in the league title against Newcastle, who fought to the end, and we managed to nick a win there. Lost a couple of players injured. Obviously, Mo wasn't available, a couple of others. And you go into it and you think everything's stacked against you. Looks like that the league's not going to happen. So to be able to then beat Barcelona like that anyway, is pretty amazing. But around all that around it, players missing, what had happened the night before, disappointment, and just the manner we went about it. The manager, said before the game, it's pretty impossible to get through this, but there is a small chance, and the only chance we've got is because it's you. And it was just a calmness around it. Everyone believed, but the whole game, I remember getting a corner the first minute, and the roar for a corner, is obscene, really. And even when we got that first goal on the pitch, it was just a calmness around, next step, right, get a goal. It wasn't ever panicked, we have to score now. We just seemed to pick away at it bit by bit. And I think the tone was set, actually. Obviously, Suarez, who incredible play for Liverpool, the fans loved him, standing over the kick-off and getting booed and whistled. And I think it was just a reminder, not today, mate. You're not one of us today. And that probably helped set the tempo for the game, really.
And when I looked at that Barcelona side as well, you mentioned Suarez, we've mentioned Messi, Coutinho, Busquets, Jordi Alba, Piqué. I mean, it's a phenomenal side. In your heart of hearts, even when you've gone 1-0 up, even when you've gone 2-0 up, did you really believe you could do it?
Yeah, I think getting the early goal helped, but I think we did. I think, like I said, there was a calmness around it. I think the amount of points we got that year, we knew we could beat anyone. We had a similar game against Dortmund a few years before, and we know the magic of Anfield and what can happen there. And like you say, against an experienced team like that, how we played at that time, we could go through spells in games and really rattle teams, how we played, heavy metal football, and keep the ball in play, quick turnovers, a few tackles, let them know you're there, a few moments, and, you have to respect them, but you also have to say, you can't have it all your own way, because the players at that level, if you do, then they're going to walk all over you. So, yeah, it was one of those nights that with the players that were missing, and it was an amazing thing as well, because it was such a squad effort, and the whole season obviously is to achieve something like that, but with the players that were missing, it showed how well the boys mentality was to be ready and step in, but also how well coached the team was that you could make changes like that, or have to make changes like that for a game like that, and players come in and play as well as they did, like Shark and Divock, and the amount of important goals he scored. Genie obviously not playing and was pretty annoyed, and used that in the right way.
Yeah, scored twice, didn't he?
Yeah, incredible. So losing Robbo at half time as well. How
did you feel about that? Because I guess he was the man who ultimately, I'm not sure he can man mark Messi or not, but wasn't he given the task of looking after him?
Yeah, I think whenever he came into your area,
right.
I think it was a team thing, obviously. But Robbo done amazing things for us, and he's obviously always going to be a big miss with his energy and things like that. And having to go into left back because he went off wasn't ideal, obviously, having to come up against players like that. But again, it's just whatever you can do for the team to get you over the line, and manage to find a way. And I remember Hendo actually had a bad knee. I think he was on a bike at half time, and so players hanging on with injuries and things like that. And the final whistle went, we were keeping it in the corner, and I've turned around and Hendo's got a knee slide to the fans, and his knee got caught in the ground, and he's like, why have I just done that? He was like nearly crying in pain from his knee, not because we'd got to the final.
Yeah. I mean, the atmosphere on those European nights at Anfield just is impossible to beat, isn't it?
Yeah, incredible. From the start, and you look at the Kop and the banners and the flags up, and you'll never walk alone, and it was important, and they're always up for the nights anyway. But also, it's important as a team. They see that you're at it, and can you get the first tackling? Can you get the first press? And get the fans right with you, and that was always important for us, that we had to start well to get them really with you, and let the other team feel the atmosphere, feel our pressure, and think this isn't an ordinary game, and this isn't going to be something we've experienced before.
No. And I'm sure you all thought you could do it. I know every Liverpool fan thought they could do it. I was sitting at home watching the TV and thought, no chance. So, Joleon, 93-20. It's a time that was etched on every City's fans' memory. Just take you back just 3 minutes 20, if you like. What were you thinking going into extra time, injury time in that game, knowing you needed to score 2 goals?
Oh yeah, I wasn't as optimistic then as obviously when you get the equaliser. But yeah, I was just thinking, I don't want to leave this summer. It was the Euros, summer of the Euros. I'm thinking, I don't want to go. I'm like, I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to go and collect the kids from school. Obviously, having played a part in their first goal. But even at that time, I was like, we'll score. It will be fine. And then they score a second, and it's like, now it's real. But yeah, I wasn't aware of the time, to be honest. And I wasn't aware of how late Edin Dzeko's goal was until years after. But yeah, it's as glamorous as we can speak now. It wasn't for a long period of time, and even now, I still wouldn't want to win it that way.
Yeah, it's the forgotten goal, actually, isn't it? The Edin Dzeko Cup, because it's the one that nobody talks about anymore.
And it was like 91st minute. I assumed that was like 85, and then Sergio's was obviously the last minute. But no, they were both pretty late.
So when Edin scored, you still thought,
it's time.
Somewhere in your mind, there's time.
Oh yeah, because I just assumed it was like early, and yeah, I didn't. I'm glad I didn't, because if I was aware how late it was, then it probably wouldn't have. Yeah, I would have been a lot more nervous about it.
So, what were your memories of that Aguero goal then?
The goal, again, my memories are better now because I've seen it, but before I'd seen it, and I didn't watch it for a while.
How many times have you seen it?
Not as many as you think.
No.
Jeff. Yeah, for years I couldn't watch that. And even now, it's still goosebumps. And people, when I explain that, people think it's because of my contribution to their goal, but it's not. It's just the whole occasion. And I think COVID, I don't know if it was yourself, we did something on Sky, and it was me, Vinny, Micah and Zaba. We were kind of reminiscing over the game, and we'd never really spoke about it. And then we was all on there together, and it was like, we were all equally as nervous, and we knew the outcome of the game. But yeah, I remember the following season, one of the first games away was Newcastle, and I got to the hotel, and I put the TV on, and the game was on. I turned it off straight away, and after that, I never put the TV on in any away hotel.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on the day, how did you see it? What were your recollections of it?
Oh yeah, again, just remember Nigel picking up the ball, in passing it forward, and obviously recognising now, I haven't seen it, it's one of the the few times Sergio comes short to receive. He normally goes in behind. He obviously passed into Mario. And I remember that part. That's the bit I actually remember from the game, was Mario receiving it, passing it to Sergio, and then Sergio doing exactly what he was born to do, in this exact position he was born to do it.
Wow. So where were you in the pylon afterwards? Were you on the bottom level?
No, I wasn't. I didn't make it over there. I was drained. So obviously I was left side centre back. So I was near the dugout. So you just try to grab someone. And obviously at this point, everyone's forward. So there wasn't many City players around me. So I literally looked to the left and seen the staff. And obviously everybody knows that plays football. There's so many staff that don't get the recognition and they spend probably more hours than the players, getting the players ready and prep. So like all the physios and the medical team, they run on. And I remember Robin he's quite small, but I was just making him aware that I was going to jump on him, not he was jumping on me, and I just smothered him. And then other staff members came and we were just hugging, and yeah, it was emotional.
Yeah. What were the celebrations like?
A week long.
Were they really?
So yeah, they were good. No, again, obviously, in greatest respect to the club, that they wasn't used to the success they have now. So it was probably different to what they do now. Everyone was involved, every member of staff, and we had the town hall booked, and it was just all there. And again, you got to see everyone that had contributed to that point. But yeah, it was a good time.
I want to talk about some of the characters who are in that Manchester City squad in a moment. But I also want to talk about some of the characters in the Queen's Park Rangers squad, because there were so many, interwoven plots, if you like. The fact that Mark Hughes was managing them, the fact they had, I think, 3 ex-City players playing,
Nedum,
and the fact,
Sean.
Nedum, Sean, and Joey.
Yeah.
And obviously there was the Joey Barton moment, wasn't there? What are your recollections of that? Because you were one of the few people that he didn't try and take out.
Yeah, to be fair, I've really been a fan. Don't know him that well, but I was just aware that he was trying to obviously wind people up. And I'm quite placid anyway, but on the pitch that was never going to be a thing. I'm not for the handbag side of the game. If it's real, then the game's going to win, then we can address it in the tunnel. But yeah, he obviously did that and tried to get people sent off, and thankfully our lads didn't bite. They played their part, and Joe Barton was exited off the pitch by Micah. And even that, now I'm thinking, Micah was sub. He came on and shepherded him off. Obviously, they know each other. And just even that alone, like that wouldn't be allowed now, would it? Like subs can't come on the pitch and get the opposition player off who's been sent off. So yeah, there were so many crazy circumstances to that game. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'd elbowed Carlos Tevez, hadn't he? Then he kicked Sergio Aguero.
Yeah, I think he'd elbowed Carlos, then he kneed Sergio or vice versa.
And then he tried to headbutt Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, which was a dangerous thing to do. Vinny, you don't headbutt Vinny. But yeah, in regards to what he was doing, he was just obviously trying to take bodies with him, but he underestimated the want for us to win rather than just the reaction and the emotional element to it. Like, we were determined to win that game, so yeah, there wasn't going to be a reaction from. Maybe if he'd done Nigel, there might have been. Maybe, yeah. But in regards to the lads he chose, nah.
Coming soon, football's greatest eras with Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes, a new show where the pair tell their best stories about Manchester United's greatest period.
I'm Nicky Butt.
And I'm Paul Scholes.
This is our new show
where we take you inside the greatest era,
under the greatest manager,
at the best club in the world.
Come with us inside the dressing rooms and onto the pitch. I think I was the only person in Premier League history to score a goal and run off, and the camera go on Eric. The camera go on Eric.
As we tell you all about our teammates and the rivalries.
I'm pretty sure that was the game where Robbie Fowler scored the goal and not Gary off the ball.
I mean, Nev, what's he doing? I mean, we know Rob, he's a great lad, unbelievable player, but Nev's got just, what's Nev doing? I mean, he's just fell down like
himself in that wrong position.
Fell down like an 82-year-old on his Zimmer frame.
This is football's greatest eras.
What was that? What was the first goal like then? What are your memories of that?
Well,
we were one down, weren't we?
We were one down, yes. A mistake by Ray, which is unusual, because Ray, I think, was probably generally one of our world-class players, a fantastic player and a fantastic character, as all the team were really. Talk about them all day. But the goal was very fulfilling for two reasons. Again, it was another goal that's created on the West Ham training pitch. Ron Greenwood, our great coach, used to say to us when we had a throw on or free kick or a corner, he said, if something's on, do it. We see them prepared today to an extent of setting up walls and so on. But he said, if something's on, take it. And that's exactly what Bobby did. He stood only a yard from the ball so he could kick it quickly. I wanted to stay away from the box, and he hit a brilliant. I get back into the box. And interesting, the guy that marked me, I was probably about 5 or 6 yards from him because I anticipated Moro knocked a brilliant ball in there. And I score the first and get back in the game. And then I make this, I talked about it earlier, this stupid celebration. And my thoughts were then, I'm back. I'm showing what I can do, what I deserve to be in the team. And not that there was a sense of negativity prior to that, but I just felt at that moment, and my celebration is probably the most stupid goal celebration, if you go look at it, I've ever seen.
So it wasn't planned then?
It wasn't planned, no. There was nothing. It wasn't planned in those days, no.
No.
Listen, the quality of the game and the stature of the game, you don't start doing a pre-arranged jig around the pitch when you score against Germany in the World Cup final in 66. That would look rather silly now. Yeah. It was silly enough anyway, doing it as I did.
And of course, then the game develops out, and Martin Peters puts us in front, but they equalise late on, and it goes to extra time. But did you think at that stage that it had gone? Were you demoralised at all? You must have been exhausted for a start, because that Wembley pitch was sapping, wasn't it?
Well, not for 1 second, because with the quality of the team, the quality of the players, we had some fantastic players, but also hard-nosed characters, and not for 1 second. Our record leading up to the final that year as a team over the year was very, very good, very, very good. And we were some great players, but some very hard-nosed professionals, and not 1 second did many teams could have succumbed to the German onslaught then, but not for 1 second did when they equalised. There was nobody's talked about this much, but somebody pointed out to me a few years ago, when they knocked the cross in for Weber to score the equaliser, it actually caught one of the Germans in between his arms and slowed the ball down marginally. We talk about of course, the goal line thing, which we'll get to, I'm sure.
In a moment.
In a moment, I guess. Yeah. It just touched a German player's arm and slowed it down for Weber to come in at the far post and knock the ball in. And nobody's ever talked about that. Had they had VAR today, it may have stopped that goal going in, because I'm sure we talk about my goal and VAR a bit later, or very soon, like now.
Let's talk about it now then. So would VAR have awarded your goal?
Listen, had VAR been around then, it would have shown quite clearly the ball was at least 7 inches over the line, right, without a shadow of a doubt.
Did you have any doubts at the time?
I had the worst view in the stadium. Where I had, seriously, from my angle where I hit it from Bawley's cross, the ball actually hit the crossbar, but it bounced directly behind the German keeper, Chilkowski. So I had the worst view in the stadium of anybody hitting it on that speed and not seeing it. And of course, I'm appealing that it's a goal, as you would do, but I had the worst view in the stadium. And it was interesting. Look at the referee, the linesman. He's going, yes, it's a goal. And I think probably, if you look at it now, you'd probably say it wasn't. But Roger Hunt, I always look at Roger Hunt. He's following in, as you'd expect, following in if it's going to come off the keeper or the post. And he turned away and signalled a goal. And really, that is, for me, is an instance. I think he thought it was a goal, because naturally Roger would have put the ball in had he not been sure. But I've always gone on that as much as anything else. Yeah. But who cares? Who cares? We got the fourth anyway.
Yeah. Well, you got the fourth.
Oh,
yeah. What are your memories of that? Because obviously it's iconic for all sorts of reasons. It's the goal that clinched the World Cup. It's a hat trick for you in a World Cup final. And Kenneth Wolstenholme is by now world famous for his commentary over it as well.
Unbelievable commentary. It's made it. I think what happened was they were now leading. They shoved their centre half, Willi Schultz from Hamburg, up front in the dying moments of the game. And funnily enough, the last just knocking the ball into our box as often as they could. What was the last cross was knocked in by Willi Schultz, who found himself on the right wing. The ball's going to bounce in the middle of the box with seconds to go. We're hanging on. Who was there to chest the ball down, as calm as you like, was Moro. Now, I'd seen him do this since he was 15 or 16. I wasn't too concerned. He knew what he was doing. Big Jack Charlton, his centre-back partner, hadn't seen this sort of football before and was urging Moro to kick the ball out of the ground using fairly strong language. Moro then completely ignores it, knocks again something which is criminal, those who know the game, knocks a short 10-yard pass in our defensive third to Roger Hunt, who's not marked. He knocks it back to Moro, and Moro's only about, a goal's over here, he's only about 5 or 6 yards from the goal line. Big Jack's going absolutely effing bananas. Moro then, cool as you like, waltzes to the edge of the box. He has a great striker from defence to attack, not going via the midfield. It's a wonderful ball, flighty ball to me and finish up. I chest the ball down. I'm facing, the goal's behind me, but I'm facing the referee and he's going, whistling in the mouth. So I knew at that stage the game was nearly finished. I turn, I get to the edge of the box. My thoughts are just as clear as they were those 50-odd years ago. I know the game's over. I'm tired. It's been 2 hours. I'm now going to whack this ball with everything I've got. Now, I'm thinking all this. And if it goes beyond the goal, into the crowd, into the sand, by the time the ball boy gets it back to Tilkowski, surely the goodness the game has got to be over. But as you all know, I mishit it and it flew in.
Yeah.
And then the game was over. And what sort of made the moment magic as well was, as you touched on, Kenneth Wolstenholme's commentary. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's used, they think it's all over, it's used in every facet of our lives now. We see every day in all walks of life. Just an absolutely fantastic, simple line. And he says there are people on the pitch, of course, the first part of it. At my theatre shows, I go for questions, and one of the questions I get quite a bit, did I know there were people on the pitch? So I do a stupid performance. I talk about it on stage. I said, yeah, I got to the edge of the box. I put my foot on the ball. I had a look round. I said, oh, yes, there was at least half a dozen people on the pitch. I said, that's probably the most stupid question I get.
Let's talk about some of the players that you played against. And I'm going to start with Johan Cruyff. So in the list of greats, where would he stand?
Oh, in my opinion, he is right up. I think I'd put him probably just behind, for me, Maradona, Messi and Pelé. Probably they're the three real top icons. And Johan would be just beyond. It's tough to say just behind them, but he was that good. I mean, when you've got a skill named after you in world football, and you got a little kid on the, on a 10-year. I watch my grandson now on a Saturdays, or go training on a Thursday, and you hear the coaches say, "Oh, you could have Cruyffed him," and he's only 7. And they know the Cruyff skill. So to have a skill named after you, that you got to be special, ain't you, to have that? He was a wonderful player.
Yeah, and I know you played against him.
Yeah,
and I got a quote from him where he said of you. He said, I'd heard about you, but I didn't realise how good you were. And I played against you, and I think
that's lovely.
Yeah, he man-marked you, didn't he?
I can't believe it. We played Feyenoord on the way to winning the UEFA Cup that year, and I think it was a young Ruud Gullit playing that game as well. I think he was 18. Anyway, whether it was to put us off or getting under our skin or whatever, I think they knew we were a better team than them, and it said that in the papers that Johan Cruyff was going to man-mark me, and I'm thinking, oh, that's a load of rubbish, that ain't going to happen. So I just turn up at the ground, and whistle goes and blow me down. We're in possession on the far side of the pitch, and Johan Cruyff standing next to me. I go and make a run. I thought, and he started following me. And I'm thinking, no, this can't be right. Jeff, I'm going, this can't be right. He's one of the greatest players the planet has ever seen. Why would I don't know if it was Johan's choice or the coach's choice. I mean, why would you do it? Anyway, I thought, right, okay then, let's show you what we got. And I had one of them games, we were 4-0 up by half time. Every pass hit its buttons, and I've made 4 goals and created and it was just incredible, really. I don't know why they had that idea to do that. And strangely enough, the coach must have said, right, we'll release you off him at 4-0 at half time. And Johan scored in the second half, and they got back in the game. It was 4-2 in the first leg. So it wasn't the best bit of coaching idea, whoever came up with that idea, really. But it inspired me, to be honest, to have somebody like that say they're going to man-mark you and then bloody well go out and do it. I thought, well, you know what? I take that as a massive, massive compliment. But I've got to show up here. I've got to prove that, there's a reason why that was been said. And it was probably one of my best games for Tottenham, yeah. But he was a wonderful player.
Now, thanks for watching Football's Greatest on YouTube. But can I ask you please to hit that subscribe button? That way you won't miss any of our future episodes, and we have some great guests coming up on the show.